y'all. This is Tim Howe, Motioneer First Class, and we're going to be working in Rive again this week. Yeah, we started this thing last time, and we're going to kind of do a continuation of it, so if you haven't checked the first part, you can. But right now, we're just mostly going to be learning how to loop animations inside of an any state inside of Rive. Please consider supporting the channel by downloading one of my fonts below, either the free one or the paid one. Okay, let's get going. All right, y'all. So this is what I created originally. Check the description or this link here to see the original video where I made this cool 5-star rating. Okay, now you'll see it goes from dilapidated up to kind of fancy, but for me it feels a little too stagnant once it stops. So I'd love this to feel like it was driving, so maybe a loopable animation on this side. And I'd love this to feel like it was, you know, stuck and smoking or have flies around it or maybe both. Okay, so I'm not sure I'll animate all these, but it's just feeling a little stagnant to me, and I'd love to get a little more motion in here. So here at the bottom corner, I'm gonna go stop the state machine and come to my 5-star first. And I'm just gonna try to figure out the animation so that when this timeline ends, I can pass it off to a timeline that will loop. So in my case, I think I'm going to push the van forward, maybe they have the wheels leaning back, the van forward, and maybe it's kind of, I don't know, bouncing up and down, and I'll probably animate the road as well. All right, so here's my attempt here, and so what I want to do is kind of loop this on itself. So I'll just show you the loop version here. But you kind of see what I'm doing. So this, once that 5th star is hit, this thing will start rolling forward and it'll get to a place where I can start looping it. So I had to do some duplication on a few things. So the road, for example, I need to copy out this. So I had to go back to my design tab, and then I was able to come to the ground and make a couple different ground paths and things like that to make it work. What else did I have to do? I also needed some more control over the back tires, so I had to duplicate those back tires into 2 different things, which required me to add some more keyframes in the empty states. Yeah, but we did that a lot in the previous video, so you know how, and if you've used Rive for any amount of time, you know anytime you make a change, it has to populate back through your timelines. Okay, so yeah, anyways, it is working now, I think, and so I think I'm ready now to hand this off to the, let's look at it. Yeah, ready to hand this off. I haven't set it up yet. That's why it's not working. This 5-star loop instead. So I think I'm ready to start handing it off to a loop. So yeah, that's pretty much all I changed. I did also change the way that the, I had an ease put on these windows originally. But now I instead want them to loop through and just kind of keep going. So like it was driving down the road. And so I took off the ease so that this will kind of have a static motion path so that when I loop on it, it goes yeah, seamlessly. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So I'm going to duplicate this. I've named it improperly. So this is really 5-star. We'll call this transition, really is what it is. And then I will go ahead and duplicate this so I can have all the keyframes that I need. And this is the one I'll actually rename loop here at the bottom. Okay, just like so. The reason it has these on here is because I was showing this to you guys, but the loop will probably be looped eventually, but the transition one will just be a one-shot. So yeah, I'm going to start working on this timeline, and I'll show you what I come up with. Alright, so I'm having this issue. As I'm trying to get this thing started, I want the last frame of this to be the first frame of my loop timeline. And so what I started doing is before I actually undid my copy, and I just kind of copy and pasted all these keyframes over to the side and then slid them down to the left. But the problem was, and let's see if I can find one of the problems. In fact, here you can kind of see the problem. If I go back and forth between the last frame and this frame, some of my last frames didn't have keyframes on them. So it looks like some of the tires are a little off. Some of the mirror and stuff are, oops, the mirror is kind of transitioning a little bit. And that's because, yeah, like I said, all of the last frames of the transition need to be the first frames of the loop. So, and sometimes, like in a case like this, rear tire back, you'll see that even though it looks like there's a keyframe, if I were to actually open this up, you'll see that I didn't actually get all the keyframes. So the position frames weren't not copied over. So most of the van got copied, but just not all of it. And this is just kind of frustrating. I hope someday we, have a better solution than this. But I probably will just kind of go in and piecemeal grab anything that's not perfect and just copy it over to the new composition in the first frame. So this one was the tire, right? Yeah, front tire. Open it up and just hit paste on it. And it looks better now. Okay, so if I go back and forth, you'll see that one of the tires is fixed anyway. Now I got to fix some of the other things. So it's one of the frustrations, again, of Rive. At least in its current state, but yeah, I just need those last. That's what I'm going to end up working on, though, is making sure that whatever this last state is ends up being the first state. And it looks like finally I've got this issue. So for whatever reason, my vertices on this back tire aren't coming in. Again, I'm trying to match my last frame of my transition to my first frame of my other one, of my loop, right? So anyways, you'll see this back tire is being a little stubborn. So let's just fix it together if you're having the same issue. So I'm gonna go find the back tire here. So come down to my tires. This is my front tire back. Nope, rear tire front. There we go. Ha. So let's open it up and let's find the path that I need. And I'll go to the top right and go to Edit Vertices. And then I'm going to select all of my things and hit Key All Vertices in the top right. Okay. Now it looks like it added, maybe one or two vertices here. And if you're not opening this up all the way, you'll need to open it up and then open up the vertices that we created. So it looks like 4 vertexes now. So now if I copy those into the loops comp, or into the loop timeline, I just need to find that thing again. So this was this path here. And let's just go onto these vertices here and paste them. Now, I'm worried I have the wrong one here. Yeah, this is not the right one. Rear front, here we go. Rear front. Okay, and it looks like I don't have this keyframed at all. So I'm going to come to the edit vertices here, select all these, and key the vertices. And then I'll just paste right on top of them based on what I got from the other composition. And that might have been the problem. So now, as I go back and forth between the last frame of transition and first frame of loop, I have finally got all these things together. Now, the reason I wanted to do all that is because when this thing plays, it stops here, and now I gotta animate in the composition, or on this loop composition, this loop timeline. I need to start rolling around. All right, so as always, I've got some changes that I've made to this. And yeah, but I think it's coming along nicely. So one of the things I changed is that when the bus actually makes its transition, it has no, what is that thing called? Light sheen. There's no light sheen on it. And then when it kind of moves across, I still have the bus sheen, like the sheen on the actual car itself. But on the loop itself, it kind of starts and ends in the same place. So here on the transition, we're starting and ending on the same place. We're starting and ending the loop on the same place, so these are the same. And then on the loop itself, I'm also starting and ending on the same place, so that this first frame and last frame are the same. Now I'm just keeping it simple with 1 second. You can definitely increase or decrease that time. But this gives me the time to rock forward and backward and still show off. I'm seeing one issue that my reflection is coming over the top of my mirror here. So I'm going to head back to my design tab I'm going to grab my mirror and make sure it's above my car reflections. Probably both of them. So that's it on top. So then we'll head back and we'll see if it affected much. So that seems to be working better now. Cool. So let's go ahead and figure out how to plug this into the state machine and see if we can get it working, transitioning between this start state and this loop state. All right, so let's look at the state machine. Here at the bottom left corner, we'll click state machine. And what you would think we'd want to do is drag this puppy in, right? We'd want to then connect these two things. Then we'd want to turn our exit time on for 100%, right? So it's going to basically play out, or that's what we're assuming would happen. It'll play number 5 when it goes. But what happens is when I hit 5, it kind of freaks out. And the problem is the way we set up our inputs originally. So we set up as a number input, and so it can't unlock that number input. It keeps assigning it constantly, and it just keeps getting stuck. So we're actually going to have to rebuild this briefly, and instead of using a rating system to build this out, we're going to have to use a number of triggers here. So let's go ahead and add a different triggers, and just because I'm lazy, I'll just do 1 through 5. And I also need a trigger 0, honestly, because of the way we built this. So I'll make a trigger 0, and that'll be to reset our stars back to nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up these. So with my triggers made, I have to go adjust all my listeners. So for 1 star, instead of setting rating to 1 here, that says on the bottom, we're going to instead change this to, let's see, where was I? It was rating to 1. Instead, we're going to hit trigger 1, okay? And just do that on all these, right? Trigger 2 is 2, trigger 3, trigger 4, trigger 5. And on my hot boxes, I'm going to change, instead of 0, it's going to be trigger 0 instead on both these hit boxes. I mislabeled those. All right, so that's done. Let's see what our conditions here are, though. If I look at my conditions, here at the bottom of the screen, it says if rating is set to 0. So we need to change that now. So if trigger, in this case, 0, so if this is the 0, 1, if trigger 0 fires, then we go to that state, I believe. I'll have to check here. Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen. Well, we'll see here in a minute. So this will go to trigger 1 instead of the rating. This will go to trigger 2, and you guys get the idea here. All right, with all that set up, it looks like I'm still having a little bit of issue. First off, it's not starting on the empty, so I may have to introduce this entry so it always goes to empty before it goes to these other things, but we'll try that out here shortly. I also have another weird thing where the back tire gets all goofy, and I may not have keyframed that on each of the things. So as long as I don't hit the 1 star first, I have no issues. But let's look at this one. So the trick I'm having now is I actually forgot to swap out my 5 star here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this and bring in my 5 star transition, which is the one where I had it animating properly. And I'm going to swap this out. Again, this needs to be, let's see, I need to give it a event that, hold on, what am I doing wrong here? Yeah, I click here, oh, it's at the bottom of the screen. And it's if trigger 5 gets hit, is what it is. Okay, and then from here to here, same thing. This needs to be an exit time of 100%. And that should work now. Okay, so let's hit play and click on some stars. And 5 stars go. Okay, so again, 5 stars, it rears back and then it starts to dance. Click off, just make sure, watch it a few times. I wonder if I might need to get it more dancey to begin with so it's not so awkward when it moves forward. So yeah, I may add one additional rotation just as it's getting into place. so it doesn't take such a long time to start dancing to its drive. But that is the basic idea. I'm going to troubleshoot a couple things like that tire vertice, and then I'll start to move on to some of the other animation to finish this thing out. But that's the basic idea, right? We set up our transition state, we set up our loop state, but it's still, because it's in any state, it's still looking for stuff. So I'll fix the 0 coming in, and I'll fix the vertice issue I'm having. All right, so for that back tire issue, it was what I thought. And so just like we talked about with the frustration of Rive, I had to come into my back tire, I had to edit my vertices, and I had to make sure every stinking timeline had the same vertexes keyed. So I click key vertex on every first frame of all these timelines, and now that is just working just fine. So I'll go back to my state machine and show you. And now that I hit play, I can flatten my tires, but each time they're going to pop back into play each time. Okay, so let's fix this entry state here. So it's really what I'm going to do is just mostly add this entry here and make it point at this empty state. And I really don't need to change this side because it's already set up with the right conditions, I believe. Let's think about this. Trigger 1. I might need to add this to say trigger 0. Okay. That way it can go back to the empty state if it ever needs to. But this should point us to the empty state originally. Let's see if it works. Yeah, so now instead of it going to any star or the 5-star, it's going to come to this trigger 0, and then I can add whatever conditions I need to add to it. And when I click on my hitboxes that were set up in the previous video, it'll go back to 0. So I ended up fixing the transition as well. So this is the transition from the 5-star. And the problem I was having is it wasn't feeling bouncy in the transition. So what I had to eventually find was that my 5-star transition, it needed a little bit of a upward bounce here. And so how my loop works is I have it going up on 15 frames, down on 30, back up and down. But it's also doing a rotation as it does that. So it's kind of giving it that kind of happy vibe as it drives down the road. But on the transition, it just wasn't feeling that way. It wasn't feeling good. And so I just added here at the 45 mark a little bit of an up vibe before it drops back down into place so that it can start that loop, and it's helping. But it also showed me another issue I'm having. When I click on some of these stars, you'll see that this thing jumps, the stripe jumps forward. And that's a leftover from here when I did the Frumpy van. I had this stripe kind of droop as well, this little van stripe that you're seeing. And so what's happening there is I actually changed my anchor point. If you guys don't know how to do that, I'll unpause here. But if you look at the 2-star animation or the 1-star animation, you'll see that I've moved my anchor point so that it's easier to rotate that stripe. Now to do that, you have to freeze your transformations. That's Y on the keyboard to activate it, and then you can move this around. But I never did that with my other ones. So just like I have to update all of my keyframes every time, annoyingly, I also have to update my freeze state on all of my timelines here. So I hit Y key. Luckily, it's allowing me to adjust all these without having to hit Y and unhit Y every time. Yes, I mean technically it is probably also keyframing things. So I really should be on frame 1 here, and this may end up giving me more issues in the long term also. But let's just see if it works and if it's not going to be too stubborn this time. Again, back to the first frame, bring this thing back. All right, so now let's hit Y, and let's hit that state machine play and see if that fixed it. Okay, luckily now they all have the same start point. And they're working now. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so like I said, it's time now to animate a few more of these, but that's a basic idea. All right, y'all, so here is my loop that I came up with. I will probably record another video with how I did the fly and how I did the smoke. And then I had to go back to as well and get this transition area going. So I had to add the fly in and had to grow the smoke coming out of here as well. So again, I'll try to record a video on these extra elements if it interests you. But let's go ahead and plug this one in as well. So back to the state machine, And I'm going to kind of learn from what happened last time, but on the 1 star, let's see about this. I don't need the 1 star anymore, so I'll delete that. I'll grab my 1 star transition and bring it from the any state and bring in my loop as well. And drag it in and just double check what it is. So this needs to be trigger 5, so this needs to be trigger 1. If trigger 1. And over here, what does this need to be? So I did 100% over here on this exit time. I think that might be what I'm missing, 100%. Okay, so that was pretty smooth going in. I think I can live with that. For whatever reason, this is looping in the wrong way. Yeah, so after troubleshooting, it looks like it's the same problem it always is. So on my transition timeline, I've scaled the type up, so that's how it transitions, right? The type scales, or the smoke scales up one at a time. But when I come to my loop section, you'll see in the top corner the difference. I have no scale on this, which means it doesn't know what to do. It's trying to, I don't know, it's defaulting to the other timeline or something weird like that. So I just got to set up that this is 100% so that these don't end up scaling. I believe, I guess I could be lying to you. Okay, and that one's already set up. So I think now, though, once I hit play, oops, let's hit play on the state machine instead. I think, yeah, I'm not getting that weird scaling issue now. Yeah, so same problem with Mr. Fly. So you'll see I have this path constraint that he's following. Again, I'll record a video showing you guys that, but I hadn't assigned the distance for the fly on each and every star, and so it was just kind of pausing where he was. But now, I've got the fly returning to 0, hiding behind the van on each of these other options. Okay, I'll try to include the clip. I'll try to post this interactive file so you guys can look at it on Rive, but there you go. Okay, all that's it. Again, consider supporting me by liking and subscribing, and also consider downloading one of my fonts below in the description. Okay, y'all, see you next time.